As humans, we naturally want to be a part of something, whether that be a community or a group or just a fandom, perhaps. But I think it's important to distinguish attachment from identity. So, what I mean by this is let's take gaming as the main talking point since we're mostly focused on gaming here in this channel. You have probably seen, or maybe you are yourself, people who attach their identities to a certain game or maybe even a certain series, an anime, or a show. And it's not that I'm trying to attack those types of people, but I think that you'll be surprised at how much joy you'll be able to find in trying to detach from these things. As a really common example, a lot of people feel the need to find validation in their choices because, of course, as people, we do not want to feel like we're making a wrong decision, especially if that decision is strongly tied to our time and energy, in which is very apparent in gaming. And when you see these people who, say, have tied their identity very closely to a certain game, let's say, they almost feel the need to reinforce the fact that they're correct in choosing that game. They'll go to YouTube and find videos talking about that game in a really positive way. They'll look at reviews that talk about the game as if glorifying it to a masterpiece, perhaps. And it's almost like they're second guessing themselves, when in reality, if we just simplify it, you can just enjoy what you enjoy. And it doesn't have to be that serious, especially if you feel or you realize yourself that perhaps the game that you're playing is not actually that good, which in hindsight is fine. I heard this from Josh Strife Hayes when he was in the Trash Taste podcast, and he said something along the lines of, it's fine to like something that is bad, which I completely agree with. And it does not mean that you yourself as a person is wrong, but it's just that people have different tastes and whatever floats your boat is completely fine. So, jumping into, I guess, relationships and connections with real people, this is also apparent in the attachment department, where when you try to, I guess, fit in or join the herd, it can be really painful when you meet certain betrayals or rejections and you almost feel like you're not worth or you deserve less, when in reality, you should really just take them with a grain of salt. And I'm not saying that you should undermine your relationships and friends, but don't take it too seriously and remember that you're living this life only for yourself. So, whatever the case is, you are the only person responsible for what happens in your life, and you can't blame it on other people. Now, granted, some people do have traumatic pasts, maybe troubles with family or friends that have wronged them. And I'm not saying that it's completely your fault, but at the same time, even though a part of you thinks, well, I didn't deserve to be treated that way, which is correct. But at the same time, we can't really change what other people did. And instead of accepting it and trying to get over it, I think what's more important is to be able to just move on and take it as a life lesson. Because when you talk about getting over it or accepting it, it means that you're trying to forgive what has happened in the past. And for some people, according to the intensity, it's going to be really difficult to accept and forgive. And you don't have to accept and forgive, but you have to live with it and you gotta move on, which is completely different. And what it entails is to be able to just look at it as something that you have experienced, an incident that has happened in your life, and take it as the lessons that they are, so that you know what to do and not to do in the future and what you actually want, so that you'll be able to filter future connections and relationships way more efficiently, because you already know what you're looking for and what you're not going to tolerate. But at the same time, I would like to also remind you that what I'm trying to say here is to detach, but don't isolate. So when you're trying to detach with certain situations or people, it does not immediately mean that you have to isolate and put up these walls so high that no one can approach you. But what I mean is to detach in a way that helps you find peace by way of not being able to be affected by what's outside of you. So, simple things sometimes like people's words, their impressions of you, their opinions, which you're allowed to absorb, but it does not always mean that it's the truth. And you are responsible, and partly you owe it to yourself to filter these things and determine which deserves your attention and energy and which inputs are undeserving and should just be tossed aside. It might sound a little bit toxic or negative, but in truth, this is just a way to protect your own energy and protect yourself. And I think once you're able to do this, you'll find that life becomes way more peaceful, and you'll be in a different state of mind in the way that you're no longer affected by little things, and you're not as easily ticked off by certain triggers that might have set you up ablaze in the past and perhaps made you have an emotional reaction. And in truth, since you don't want to isolate, what you can do instead is to detach from the outcomes and whatever happens in between, but at the same time, find a way to be able to understand that things come and go. And when you have experienced things like this firsthand, you understand that getting into a new friendship or a new relationship brings with it a ton of baggage, and you might feel the fear of, oh, what if this new connection will end the same way as the past? Should I even pursue this? Now that leads more into isolation. And the thing is, you actually do not have to commit 100%. Because some people think that, oh, once I enter this, I'm either all in or I'm not gonna initiate at all. When in reality, you are not actually obligated to commit 100%. You can just test the waters, and you owe it to yourself, and it's well within your rights to do so. So just explore new things as just adding flavor to your life, and in the future, whenever you feel like it doesn't fit you anymore, you can either discard it or just lower the intensity of energy that you're willing to pour into it, so that you protect your own time and you don't mess up the balance of your own inner mind. Now, I might be rambling at this point, but what I'm really trying to say is just to learn to detach and don't turn things into an identity, because that will only sap your own joy of being able to enjoy something that you truly feel like you are attracted to. Because it's fine. And you don't have to prove to anyone that what you're doing is right or if your choices are correct. If you enjoy it and it brings you joy, it makes you happy, then so be it. That's the only thing that's important. But of course, do not twist this and make it seem like you're living an egotistical life. And at the end of the day, we're in this world living our own lives, and whatever decisions we make will in turn affect ourselves more than others. Now, again, this might be a little bit of a vague idea because, of course, if we talk about criminals, their own decisions can affect a lot of people. But I'm talking about the more simple things in life, and don't complicate it. Don't make yourself feel even more frustrated, or just remove your ability to be able to just enjoy life. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.